Welcome everyone to our final live workshop for the year. I'm so excited and also amazed that we actually are finishing this long series of things. No better way to finish than with the fabulous Dawn Marie Lemonds, who, as I said in the email that I sent to everyone, is a wonderful person and a forever friend of the Sierra Pacific region. So welcome, Dawn Marie, and I'm going to let you take it from here.
Okay. Well, I am not clever and lovely like many of you are in doing PowerPoints. We're going to talk. We're going to have a chat tonight, and the highlight will be doing a little sneak preview of your next generation workshop for conference by me interviewing three lovely ladies that are going to give us their insights about what they think next generation can do in our group. So I'm just really honored to be invited to do this, and I'm looking forward to it. I just thought, oh, why me? I kind of love to be the last. I actually love to be the last presentation of the day because I'm kind of energetic, and I like to kind of leave people with a giggle if I can. So you will, I did create a agenda for you, so you don't need to worry about notes or whatever, just some reminders of things that we discussed. So when I was asked to do this, I asked your governor-elect, I said, well, what does new generation mean? Does that mean the youngins, or does it mean new to Seroptimists, or what the heck does it mean? And she said both. And I went, that made me happy. And then I got to also have a chat with actually Sarah and Charlotte, and talk about what that meant for them. But here's my thought. Every single year, I think I'm a new generation member. Every single year, I think when I pay my dues, I have made an intentional decision to join Seroptimists. And I make a contract with myself, and I'm happy to share it with anybody, but every single year, when I pay my dues, I think, what do I want to learn this year? What do I want to lead this year? And what do I want to support this year? And I give myself that assignment of what I want to learn more about, and in all different ways. And I just really challenge all of us that as we're going into being new members, that once we've signed that line and sent that check or handed that Venmo over, or however the heck we're doing it these days, that we are taking it on as being a new member. So one of the things I always do with this session is I always start with where I want to end. So I always think about what do I want as the takeaways for you all. So I want to tell you kind of up front what I think we need to talk about. And I actually talked about these with both Judy and Charlotte and Sarah, but also I'm going to hear from you. And if you want to, Charlotte, would you do me a favor and just kind of keep an eyeball on the chat line? So keep me honest. So if people put little comments in there other than how cute I am, if you can bring those forward, I would really appreciate it. So what I want to take away from this, and I'm going to learn from you, is that we are the position that we're all part of the next generation, and need to define that for what it means for us. Number two, okay, and this is my biggie, and I'm not always like the person that thinks that SIA's one focus is the only focus of the universe, and I will talk about that a little bit. So, but I think it's a very important focus. So Seroptimist, to me, this is Dawn Marie, is a banquet of opportunities to learn, lead, and do. And it's a banquet of opportunities of service. And the biggest part of the meal in SIA is our dream programs. That's the main dish. But guess what? There's entrees and side dishes too. And those are the other work we do for women and girls. And I don't ever want to take anything away from it, because if you want to take away the anti-human trafficking work that I was doing, that we're doing in our club, that would really make me not want to be a seroptimist so much. You know, I think we all have those local and global projects that we also do. So that's the banquet. Third, the next generation, the new, and I'm going to say specifically the new and young members, they must have a voice and a space to contribute what they want to do. And we'll talk about that a little bit. They're going to give us their insights, and then we're going to talk about how we can make that happen. And guess what? Leadership is fun. I mean, it would take me hours and hours and hours to tell you all the great things I have learned and gained from Seroptimists. I didn't enter Seroptimists wanting more friends. I had plenty of friends. In fact, I arrogantly told myself that. I have enough friends. I just like the work we do. Well, guess what? My best friends in the world are Seroptimists. So you snuck into my heart, darn you. And guess what? Part of it is because you want to do the same things I want to do for women and girls. So that builds a much sturdier foundation than just, you know, having fun together, which is also good. And then finally, and this is back to individuals, Seroptimist membership, it has to be a joy. Joy doesn't mean fun every second. I mean, you know, we do a little work. It has to be safe. And that's a word these days that I don't think 10 years ago, Barbara, we would have said that word about safety, would we? But we have to have a safe environment where people are welcomed, honored, included, and allowed to contribute. And that means safe. And we should have, to get there, we should have known ground rules or rules of engagement. And I'll mention that at the end. So those are my 5 main takeaways. Does that work for you guys? Yeah? And are there any additional ones, Charlotte, that anybody wrote? We'll have a Q&A session at the end, so just jot down your ideas or whatever as we go along. Okay, so I started out with what I want to take away, and then I'm talking about banquet of opportunities and experiences. And so I'd like you just to write either on paper or in your mind, you know, what does that banquet mean for you? What is your banquet of opportunities that keep you? Why are you a Seroptimist? What keeps you a member forever? I mean, I say this, and I hope that it shall be true, that I will be a member till my last day on earth. And this is my 42nd year. And I know I don't look that old, do I? I just love what we do. But what is it for you? And some of it is the service, some of it is the friendship, some of it is the expanding our businesses. I mean, there's no one answer that is the right answer. Some of it, I think, is the jewelry. We stay as a Seroptimist because of the cool jewelry we get. Who knows? So, of course, for me, I love our dream programs, especially Dream It Be It. That's just my jam. I love teenagers, and I love working with them. And I equally love the work that we do internationally. And I'm a wonk for international. I love all things. I love that we're part of an organization in 3,000 communities and 130 countries. That just really inspires me. And that we right now have multiple countries, Seroptimists in countries around the Ukraine, helping our sisters that have been forced to move out of the Ukraine. I mean, that's a big deal. And we've had you guys help support an amazing training program that's going on in Cambodia, and a new one that's starting in Uganda. And there's going to be one for SIA as well. And I think it's Peru, but I'm not 100% sure, but we'll hear about that soon. So I love that we are helping with our benefit around the world. We're helping internationally as well. And I love the education. Oh my goodness gracious. Just from you all as leaders, from region level, district level, international level, United Nations. Oh my goodness gracious. We have no excuse. We have no excuse to not have a banquet of opportunities to learn. And my goodness, Governor-elect Judy, you get the biggest star on the planet for the amazing, amazing workshops. I mean, I'm just the general titles that you have faced this year: general leadership, identifying and nurturing successors, motivation and motivation makers, public speaking, conflict resolution, parliamentary procedure, collaborative leadership, effective communication. Those are the categories. And then there was a bunch of workshops along with each of those. So you know what, the other day I was doing a workshop last Friday, and it was on courageous conversations. And it was basically about civility. And the thing I said there, and I really stand behind it, is if anybody has issues in their club, there are people there to help you. I mean, just look at all those 17. How many workshops did you have?
40.
40. So 40 different identified little workshops that addressed certain parts of leadership and learning. It wasn't all for leaders, it was for members, it was for learning. I mean, people that weren't even Seroptimists would have benefited from a lot of the classes that you gave. How to be a mentor, how to learn from each other, how to communicate effectively. One was on how to develop a good flyer. Gee whiz, I needed to go to that. I'll have to look at the video. So you've had some great opportunities for learning. And guess what? You just got the top of the iceberg, because there's lots more things. I don't see one single thing on international there. So, so next year, because some of us wonks actually enter being excited about the international as well. So you've got those videos available. You also have your website and SIA's website and SI's website and the UN Women. So you know what, there was a past international president that Barbara and I know very well, Patsy Daniels, who said, none of us have an excuse to not know. If there's something you're really curious about, holy smokes, it is so easy. And when she said that, there wasn't computers nearly to the extent, and certainly not iPhones, right? So we all have some access, probably way more than we need, to learn a little basic stuff about things we're interested in. So that is about the banquet and accessing the banquet and being a good learner. What did any of you write in the chat box? What keeps you being a Seroptimist? If you want to jump in and say.
Nothing in the chat box, but jump in.
Yeah,
what keeps you in? Yeah, what keeps you in Seroptimist?
I'm going to call on you, Barbara. What keeps you being a Seroptimist?
Aaron said, widen my views on the world. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, and we're just going to have one answer from each person. So shall I just call on people?
Well, Judy. Nancy, I got one in the chat.
Okay.
Nancy Lilly said, learning opportunities and friendships.
Great. And Debbie, what about you?
Live your dream. That's
you beat me to it.
That's my heart.
Okay. How about Sarah? What about you? Sarah Lawson?
It's just a never-ending road. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
We've got Jody.
Just a never-ending.
Oh, sorry. What was that, Sarah?
Okay. Sorry, my mic's
no.
off and on.
There we go. That's better.
Is it good?
Yeah.
It's just a never-ending road of possibilities.
Oh, I love that. Jody?
I'd written giving back to the community, but it's more than just like, oh, I want to give back. It's that, like, I have experiences that I've had in my life, and I've had, good and bad times, and because of all of my experiences, I want to be able to not, I want to share that, but then also be able to help other people to, better themselves and everything. So it's giving back to the community is kind of the I guess the easy description. But yeah, what really drove me to Sir Optimus was the fact that the work that they were doing. So
yeah, boy, I really saw that in the Dream It Be It session today, where people were engaging with the kids and sharing a little bit of their life story, and the kids were totally amazed that these, professional, competent looking people had very big struggles, because we don't look like that, right? Nancy, did you give an answer yet?
We have two Nancys.
Nancy Cardwell?
You Live Your Dream program. My internet connection is very unstable, so you
Okay.
guys are cutting in and out real bad on me.
Okay. And anybody else that I didn't get back to you on? Anybody?
Barbara G said the mission.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's just women supporting women. If we
Yeah.
don't support ourselves, nobody else is going to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think sometimes when we get into some of the stuff, that happens at clubs where people are, this is what I call things, it's the stuff where you're debating about the napkin color. Really? But then somebody told me the other day, well, the napkin color is really important to some people. And I'm like, okay, well, I want that group of people to discuss it, and they can choose any color they want to. But we shouldn't spend time on napkin color. We should spend time talking about how we can support women and girls, right? And how we can support our club and how we can educate our club. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into asking some of our new generation leaders some questions to kind of springboard on in a little while. So the very first question I'm going to ask each of you, and Sarah, Jody, and Aaron in that order, what does being a Seroptimist mean to you? So Sarah?
So being a Seroptimist to me is kind of a sisterhood of a bunch of women who have such a strong heart and drive to not only support each other, but support their community that they are representing. I think that every club in every city has that same passion, and they just kind of change it to go with all the stuff in their community. And Seroptimist is there's no age. I've never felt exiled for being 21. Everyone welcomes you with loving arms, and they're just ready to grow and to serve their community with you.
Super. Jody, what about you?
So I really am inspired by the basic translation, the women helping women. I love that so much because I think especially in the workplace, in business, in academia, there's so much one-upsmanship, so to speak, that women, I know that for me at least, I'm not gonna say trained, groomed, the idea that if some other woman is succeeding, I'm not succeeding, that I need to be the best, or I need to do better in order to be at the top of my game. And so I like the idea of tearing that down to be able to say, no, we are women helping women. When one succeeds, we all succeed. And if everyone isn't succeeding, then we're all not succeeding.
Sure.
And so I want to help to try to bring more of that into our club and then into our community. So I've really from the jump been drawn to the idea of women helping women.
Gosh, this week I was at a region, and we're going to do it at mine too. And we give lots of awards, and I know recognition is important, and I worry about competition. I don't know that getting an award is why people do things. I think they do it because the work is important. So I don't want our little competitive thing to ever override the real reason why people are getting, many more Live Your Dream honorees and doing more Dream It Be It and doing more outreach in the community is not to get the award at conference, right? Or federation or SI. It's to work to be women helping women. So thank you, Jody. That inspired me again. And Erin, what about you? What does being a Seroptimist mean to you?
I joined Seroptimists honestly on a little bit of a selfish level, in the fact I wanted to learn to be a better version of myself.
Yay.
I knew I had room to grow, and I personally have known my director and my president since I was a toddler. And I found myself helping out at Seroptimist events without being a Seroptimist, because I wanted to be there and I wanted to help them. And I saw them building each other up, being better humans for no other reason than being a better human. And they made me feel better about being me and showing that just, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have all the money. You can go, you can be you, and you can have something to give. And that to me spoke the world. And I don't have all the answers. I don't, and no one does. But I know me going out there, I can help people. And I can be helped at the same time. It's not just a one-way street. This is very rewarding. And I want to grow as an individual, grow as a group, and help my community grow as well. And that's where Seroptimist comes in for me.
Okay, all of you three ladies, I want you to be shouting that from the rooftops. I want you to write an article. I want you to say that at your conference. What you just addressed was inclusion. You addressed aspiration. You addressed education. You addressed community, collective impact of community. You addressed safety and being valued. All the things I said I wanted you to do, you just said in a much better way than I could. And I think our members, Governor-elect, need to be reminded, because that's why we came in the door too. So if you get 1 second to do a little reprieve of this workshop at conference and say those things, whew, that just gave my heart a happy smile. So now we're going to get into some hard things. What are some of your ideas that you as a new generation member would like to see happen within the Seroptimist community? Now, I've assigned, just because of time, I've assigned one person per question, but we have till 7:30, right? Is that correct? So I'm going to start the question with Sarah, but I definitely, if you each want to chime in. So I'm going to ask the question again because I've been yakking. What are some ideas that you as a new generation member would like to see happen within the Seroptimist community?
Seroptimist as a whole, I feel like is constantly changing and evolving, and in a way it has to, because there are so many different ways for outreach that we have to constantly evolve and try new things. And I love having ideas, and I think talking about them and brainstorming with the rest of my club, we're all very open with ideas. And I feel like social media is such a huge impact that is the most evolving aspect, I believe. So I feel like some ideas is I would love to maybe do more social media workshops. And so when we have those legacy members who accept and they go, yes, I think social media is great, but I'm not super confident. I think that if they can have a workshop where even new members who aren't super confident with it, we can have these and they can become confident. And then the next thing you know, they're doing it on their own. And instead of having a few technological wizards in the club, you have everybody in the club going out and outreach to different people on their own and their Zoom meetings, going live. And I feel like if we start small and just grow that idea around technology, we can outreach further than we've ever imagined and get more ladies involved with Sir Optimus as a whole.
Absolutely. Thank you. Do either of the other two want to chime in on an idea to changes that you'd like to see happen or emphasis to be increased on?
I think the big thing is for just each club finding ways, like having within their own infrastructure an established way of incorporating new members. I'm very excited that Debbie, my president, is here on the call. Her and I have been talking about a lot of different ways. And one of the things that I was suggesting was, you know, if we want to have people from the get-go feel ownership over the club, that they are really a member, that they're not just, you know, I'm a member, rather I am a member of this community, you know, is little things like we have the at our club Debbie, I am going to totally blank on this. It's not moment of affirmation, it's positive words.
The inspiration.
Thank you. The inspiration moment. And I was saying, well, why don't we have this be something that's like that we just as a structure, as a club, that is always you know, we always ask a new member or new members to take that on, that, you know, within the first, you know, couple months of you being a member, we would like to know what inspires you. Will you deliver the inspirational words for this meeting? Because it's just a nice way of us getting to know them, so we know what inspires them, but then also they now have some buy-in. Oh, I'm going to speak, I'm going to prepare something. And so I think finding little ways that you can make sure that, okay, well, this always goes to new members, or, you know, we know that we are going to always have our new members take this on in their first year, and just having it be a project, like even if it's, you know, you have an annual fundraiser, well, the new members, you know, the members who have joined in the last year, they're going to do this part of that new fundraiser, you know, or that fundraiser, things like that. So that way there's always it's already structural, it's already in there, and it's a way of helping new members get their feet wet and be introduced.
Have a space, right? That's just wonderful. And did anybody Aaron, did you want to contribute anything?
Well, honestly, Sarah and Jody touched bases on both the things I was going to say.
Good. Well, we'll move
I'm very new, so I'm still learning.
Good.
You know, dream it, be it. I don't have ownership over those yet, but just being included and better exposure. I've been in Amador County for 40 years, and it literally took me until last year to know Sir Optimus was a thing.
Better exposure. Yeah, all of you have mentioned things that were important to me. My first meeting, they said, you know, tell us about yourself. And I said, I'd like to sing. And do you know, the very next week, a member, and I'll say an old member, she's probably the age I am now, right? But she was an old lady to me because I was 29. And she called me and she said, we're doing a wine tasting and we want you to lead the singing at the wine tasting. Now, she had no idea if I could sing at all. None. But she paid attention to what I said, right? And she asked me, the answer could have been yes, it could have been no. And they had a songbook, and I said, well, what are we going to sing? And she brought me the songbook, and I had to learn the Sir Optimus Symphony, which is not easy and not my favorite song in the way it's usually sung. It's very slow usually, but they listened. They included me right away, which is what you said. The other thing that you mentioned that I just really want clubs to remember, this is a technique. Sometimes we get into our business meetings and we get really going fast, and, you know, here's somebody's report, here's somebody's report, here's somebody's report, here's somebody's report. And it's just like, what? And we don't stop and say, I love the thought for the day, or we don't stop and get the pulse of the group on something. So we're thinking of doing our Dream It Be It event here or there. We're thinking of, you know, just some question that the committee wants input on, and just doing, I call it the 1-minute lesson plan, and just going around to every single person in the group and saying, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, and I want to touch on that for a second. I think you said something so important. Committees asking questions. I think this is really big. And I know it's something that sorry, Debbie, our club struggles with is that we have committees that have been kind of set in stone, and they dictate to the group rather than requesting input.
Right.
And so I love that you spoke up to that asking for buy-in is huge, because that's how you get buy-in. That's how you get people invested, is asking for their input. And then, so the problem, and this is why groups don't ask for input, you have to follow through. You have to be willing to accept their input.
Exactly. But I think people get nervous or busy and they don't remember that it takes really 1 or 2 minutes to get the pulse of the group and get some ideas. And I mean, tonight I've already heard ideas that I hadn't even thought of. So how easy was that? And it didn't take a lot of time. You just have to put it on your schedule. Okay, next question. Oh, this is a good one. In what ways, I love this legacy member. Holy smokes, I've never heard that, but it's just too darn cute. In what ways could a legacy member learn from a new generation member? Jody.
Debbie, no, don't be freaked out, Debbie. It's okay. I put my foot in my mouth regularly, so my club is a little nervous with me being involved in these panels, I think. But I think the main thing is to listen, that we as new members, we don't expect to come in and shake the club. Okay, most of us don't expect to come in and shake the club up completely. We are expecting to come in and learn and listen, and we want to get involved. But at the same time, legacy members, experienced members need to also be able to listen to us. I'm just going to keep drawing on my experience because it's what I can talk to, and I've learned that's the best way not to put my foot in my mouth. And my experience has been a little mixed. I've had fantastic responses. One of the big things that drew me into finally becoming a member, because I've been a follower of our club for like 5 years before I finally joined, was the war in Ukraine. I knew that Seroptimus had locations in Poland and Ukraine. And when the war broke out, I contacted my local Seroptimus. I said, okay, guys, I'm ready. I'm joining. I want to join. Here's my membership, because I want to go out and do service work with our clubs in Poland to help these women. Because if this is not a woman helping women, situation, then I don't know what is. They supported me in that, and that was amazing. And I felt so incredibly included. But when I got back from that work, now I'm just a new member. And all of a sudden, people are asking for my opinion and ideas, but then very publicly saying no to them. I'll be called on in meetings to give an opinion, and I give my opinion based on my experiences, and then a member will just flat out say, no, you're wrong. And they'll say that in front of the entire group. Or they'll ask me, do you want to take over our social media? Oh, I would love to. What are you struggling with? Oh, have you considered trying this? No, that's wrong. Oh, okay, then never mind, I'll back off. And that's really hard. That's really hard for other members to want you to listen and learn from them, but then for them not to be willing to listen and learn from you.
My goodness, I had that happen to me. I was elected as a baby Seroptimus to a board position. And I mean, I was like 4 months old, and I was given a job to do. I was so excited, and I researched it, and it was a really important event. And I came in just all full of piss and vinegar and ready to do it, and presented my idea. And this old broad said to me, no, we don't do things that way. And I was at the board meeting, and I just and the thing is, I was really, I had a career. I was pretty sophisticated in my work and known for being competent, but holy smokes, this knocked me in my gut worse than a lot of things did. And so I just went, okay, well, I'll go back to the drawing board. And, and nobody said a frickin' thing. Nobody said a thing. And so I was like, well, that's weird, and so I went home and I got 4 phone calls from board members saying, oh, don't mind so-and-so. That's just how she is. That's how she goes. Okay. So on one hand, I have to toughen up. I can't be a big baby. I can't let everybody push my buttons because I'm a new member and somebody might be rude to me, because I'll probably be rude to somebody accidentally too, right? So we have to be big girls on some level, but on the other hand, we also have to have a safe environment, a protected environment. And so we're going to talk about ground rules at the very end. And so 4 people called me, and in every single person, this is how brave I was. I said, you know what? That's not okay. You needed to have said to me, to this woman, no, let her give her ideas. We can change, let's listen. And okay, and there's ways of saying no that aren't no. It's like, wow, gosh, well, let's look into that. Or financially, that might not work, but let's see what else we could do. Or gosh, let's think about that some more. And thank you for the work you obviously have done, instead of no. So that no word, that just pushes me up against a wall. Thank you for bringing that example in. Okay, in what ways could a new generation member learn from a legacy member? Oh, who am I going to ask? Erin.
I have notes.
Good girl.
See, they come prepared. We love it.
One of the biggest thing is the history, is why. I want to learn why. Why do we do things the way we do? Why things happen, why they don't happen.
Okay.
Share details and learn details and knowledge that has made our group successful or not successful. What can we grow on? What can we not grow on? One thing I know I need to learn from a legacy member is how to take constructive criticism and not take it personally. Because I hear negative and I'm like, I immediately get what? Like hackles go up and it's like, wait, it's not about you. So that's one thing that's very, when I thought of this, I thought of my president. I don't know if I've ever told her this, but she's very much my mentor. This woman is amazing. So when I got this question, I went, what do I want to learn from Donna Jackson?
Oh.
And that's how I thought of my answers. And one of the things that Donna always is consistent. When you get Donna, you get Donna. The raw, always kind. She never wavers. No matter what is going on in her world, Donna is Donna. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. Donna doesn't. Donna can figure it out, walk you through it. Come in high, come in low. She will level you out. And I want to learn that. That is huge. How to present yourself in any situation and make it look like it's nothing. That is a gift that not many people have. And her and my director have it. And it's inspiring. And the more I meet other Seroptimus women, new generation and legacy, they have this aura about them that is just magnificent. And I want to learn that. I want to be that human. And I want to learn to pay it forward like she does.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what is on her plate, she's always looking, how can I better someone else? And how can I've been lucky? This is what's going on in my world. And I want to give back and pay forward what I've been given, what I've been taught. And those are the things that I thought of when I thought of Donna Jackson.
Oh my goodness, you ladies have just given such thought to these questions. It just makes my heart smile again. I think about that observation you had about not being prickly or not, taking criticism too harshly. And I worked in human services with development disabled people, and boy, I had cranky people, dealing with cranky people a whole bunch. And it felt really personal to my staff because they were working so hard. And so I had a couple things that I advise people on just to cool yourself out is like, did that person intend to be mean to me specifically? That's the self chat that I do. Was that an intentional slap? And most of the time it wasn't. And if it was more about them than me. I mean, that somebody could be that dang rude. I mean, I just often was like, well, I guess you didn't like that, did ya? Well, let's see what next idea I have. You know, I mean, sometimes you can use humor and sometimes you just don't answer because you don't want to give dignity to it, or you might say something you don't really want to say. But just learn from people. It's everybody that's Barbara's been a governor and I have, and all of us that have led at the table, things go wrong all the time, but we have to look like it's the best job on the planet every minute. And it is most of the time, but things are breaking. It's like, you're not going to know it from me. So I am so happy you have your president, because you just gave an example to us of somebody to watch as well. Thank you. Okay, Sarah, what is a way clubs can give new members more ownership and buy-in to their clubs within their first year of membership?
Tricky question. I thought about this question the past 24 hours. I feel like depending on when you join during the fiscal year, you could be joining at the end of the year or the beginning. And I know that in most clubs in the beginning, you start going over the committees for the year and the breakdown of, who wants to join what, who's doing chairs, co-chairs, starting meeting dates for the following year. And I'm coming up on my 1 year in May. So I got to join in the beginning of a new fiscal year. And I got to see that process of starting, to sign ups to the end. And I know that it took me almost 6 months to start speaking up in my club and for anything. And it's nerve-wracking joining, and you see all these confident, amazing ladies who know so much knowledge, and you're coming in with, sometimes none, like I did. And I like to sit back and observe and just kind of see, you're trying to get down the pledges, the stand up, sit down, don't sit down too soon, trying to figure out all that. And I feel like a way that clubs can give new members more ownership is taking the time to explain. Sometimes it's more nerve-wracking and overwhelming when you're sitting there and they're talking about, let's say, Motor Madness. And I was like, what's Motor Madness? What is this? Why is it mad? And what's the motor? What's going on? And, in some events, if I ask them like, hey, I'm a new member, could you explain this? And there maybe had been somebody who joined a week after me, and they're confused too. It's not just me that they had, and given that to the new members, we could have that confidence now to step up and say, now I know what this is truly about and the values and how it's going to go down from beginning to finish. Now I want to join. I know that I'll join. I joined more when I was more confident, when I was understanding of the rules and regulations and kind of the breakdown. And I feel like that's a big way clubs can get new members to have more ownership and buy-in in their first year, is to just have that patience with the new member, but also don't let them get too comfortable. You have to reach out, sit next to them if you didn't know them, go have coffee with them, outreach with them. And once you get that connection, then I know that new members get a lot more comfortable in those clubs.
That's great, Sarah. And Erin, actually, you mentioned that as well. And we don't even know, the embroidery is so complicated in so many of our patterns that Motor Madness means something to somebody, but some of us have been around since Live Your Dream Awards. All of us know what that is, right? But it used to be women, it started out being training awards program. And then it became Women's Opportunity Award. And then it became, so people will still say, you know, the TAP Award, if they're old folks, right? So we're constantly learning. You just made me think of an idea, both of you ladies, of if you had an agenda and you put out all the things on it that were acronyms or legacy things, or on that day, and just said, okay, big quiz. Today we're going to talk about this, and this. Who has the answer for what this is, so that we all can remember? Just a little game that could explain, take that 1 minute to just explain some of the acronyms you're going to use that day and activities. And then, Erin, one of the things you said about learning why we do things, well, it's so complicated. Are you talking about we at your club, we at your region, we at your district, we at your, in the federation, we in the, region? I mean, there's so many layers, and hopefully, and we're never going to know all of them. That's the fun of it.
I think it's important though, Dawn. I think it's so important for clubs to recognize that, especially new members, we don't know any of that. Like, I attended my first conference last year, and I show up. I got my hotel. I'm very excited about this. I have no idea what's going on though, because I don't know what a conference is. The very first night, one of our members, I'm going to say pretend, yelled at me because I didn't pack a fancy enough dress for one of the dinners, because nobody told me there was going to be a dinner I had to dress up for. So I very flippantly was like, all right, well, I'll put on a nice shirt and jeans. And she's like, no, you will not embarrass us. You will go put on something nice. And I was like, didn't bring anything nice. You're going to deal with it. and luckily it's a member that I have a very good rapport with. Like, that's just, we're good. But it's that kind of thing where, well, how was I supposed to know? Nobody told me. Like, legacy members have to remember, we need to be told things, because we don't know. And what's worse, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. Well, a brand new member is going to conference this week, and she goes, what do we wear on Saturday night? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'll look it up and tell you because I know where to look it up. She doesn't. So thank goodness she asked, right? So I know we used to, in our region, we used to have a new member orientation to conference little session workshop, and we'd have little treats there, and we'd say, this is what's going to happen, and blah, blah, blah. Of course, it's too late for the new dress, but they usually have hotels have places to buy. So anyway, I've gotten some things at the last minute because I didn't know the right dress code. Okay, so last question, and we're going to kind of wrap it up, was, this is about leadership. And actually, Charlotte, this is a question I'm going to have you do at your workshop. So I want you three to think about the answer to this. And this is the question, because I do want to have a few more things before we end. But what are things a club or members can do to help encourage new members to step up to leadership? And I think that's just terribly important. And it's a more complicated question than we have time for right now. But if you could take some time at your workshop on that, and it's really new members stepping up, and it's young members, and that's a question for all of us: is the cost of leadership, the benefit of leadership, and how can we make it be accessible, inviting, and doable, right? And something that people desire to do. So I want to end with kind of the last principle that I had, which is SPR Optimist membership needs to be a joy, safe, and have known ground rules and rules of engagement. Before I do that, though, I really want to thank the three of you ladies for your thoughtful answers to the questions. All of you really took the questions on, and I learned from you tonight. Just some were reminders that I was like, oh yeah, we need to do that, and some were like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. So we just need to have these conversations. We need to have them in our clubs. We need to just talk. So, but I really want to talk about ground rules and setting up the year. And I want to address it from the perspective of the whole club. And then I particularly want to address it in respect to any new members you get along the way. So one of the things that we've done in my club for 30 years, I guess. We always have a club planning retreat, and we don't go away. We spend 4 or 5 hours or 3 or 4 hours together, and we keep it real businessy. It's not a social. We keep the business on the business, and we plan the next year. But one of our significant parts of our agenda is addressing ground rules of engagement, how we're going to behave together, how we're going to accept new ideas, how we're going to ask people to do something and give them positive feedback about it. And I think it's kind of a brave thing to do, but I think I really encourage you to do this in your clubs, to have the conversation, to talk about how do we give feedback to each other that's safe and comfortable. So there's obvious ground rules that people, we're going to respect each other, right? We're going to listen to people's ideas. We're going to give positive responses to ideas. I mean, it might be that simple. It seems stupid to have to say that. We're not going to be talking on our cell phones in the meeting. I mean, some of them are just kind of so obvious. One that we like to have is we'll laugh at least 5 times during the meeting, and we start on time, end on time. Whatever is important to you. We also want to have a ground rule related to email, right? And the email, not just email etiquette, but quality, who you disperse emails to. So I don't know if your clubs have a protocol about email, sending around email, but you might want to think about, if somebody wants to send something to the whole membership, does it need to be approved by the president or president-elect or somebody before it goes out to everybody? And do you want to say right up front on the email, for your eyes, if it's just for one person or some, this is committee business only. The email should be issue oriented, not personality oriented. So many of you have met Kathy Standiford, and she and I have we have the 5-minute rule or 24-hour rule, which is if you're really ticked because of an email that somebody sent you or something somebody said, you don't respond to them for 24 hours. Now, she and I have the 24-second rule, which is, I'm really pissed off about something, you need to call me right now. So if you're really cranky and you just need to talk about it with your confidential informant, then you can use the 24-second rule. But things need to be very cautious. We have to be really be mindful of what we use email for. I worked for the state of California. Our rule was, if you don't want it on the front of the LA Times or the New York Times, then you shouldn't be sending it on email. And holy smokes, I mean, there weren't very many times that I got caught sending the wrong email. But, we have to just really be careful with it and do the best we can, using it carefully and not sending reply all to everybody. Or if somebody says, take me off the list, take them off the list. We're into this texting everybody thing right now. And 2 people have said, I don't want to get all your texts and all the chain. I don't want to see how everybody, oh yeah, good. Oh yeah, good. Oh yeah, good. I don't want to do that. Take my name off the chain. People don't pay attention to that. So any input about the email, texting kind of courtesy situation? How many of you do ground rules or civility rules for civility at your clubs each year?
Dawn Marie, I'd love to mention something about that really quick. Our current President Pam, did an outstanding job about, I don't know if it was maybe 2 months into her year, but we have a fabulous club with a lot of members. And she started off the year really rocky because of a lot of member problems and people coming to her constantly complaining about somebody. So finally she wrote up a code of conduct, and it was amazing. And it was actually super helpful. And I talked to her the other day and she said, what's funny? As soon as I issued that, it just fixed it, right? And she did a couple of, I think it's really important to communicate in a variety of ways. Our club has a Facebook group, a private Facebook group where we communicate. We also have an email thread, a group email. And then of course we have our meetings in person, and she communicated that in all three areas, right?
Good.
Yeah. And I do think I think there are younger members in terms of next generation, I don't know, maybe these ladies would say I'm wrong about this, but I would say that our younger members aren't so excited about email. And, so there's got to be other ways to communicate. And I think it's really important because when I came in, I wasn't necessarily young, but, Nancy Lilly had to really work with me on checking that email because that just wasn't a thing. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 20 years and I wasn't into email, but I was really into texting. So if someone wanted to get my opinion or find anything out really quick, just text me, right? And so I think it's important that we have avenues of communication that work for a variety of our different audience.
And people need to be asked. I mean, that would be a perfect thing at your annual planning retreat is, how do you like to be communicated with? And I know that I thought email was the be all and end all. And one lady goes, don't ever send me an email. And I was just shocked, but she said, call me. Fine, I could pick up the phone. And I know it's sort of convenient to do it on your time, but if you really, if your goal is to get commitment and conformance, then you find out how people want to be communicated with, and that's what you use, right? So,
I
yeah.
did a code of conduct too, Dawn, last year at the beginning of the year, because our meetings last year ended, they were a mess. Everybody talking over each other and interrupting. And it was, I would leave the last couple of meetings so upset. I just felt like, and then I finally got a gavel. They didn't listen to that. So I thought, short of hitting them in the head with it, I didn't know what else to do. So I did a code of conduct and showed it at the first meeting. I should have probably showed it again, probably in February, but we do have one.
Yeah,
and it,
actually,
I think it worked a little.
yeah, I think the other part of having a code of conduct is that, okay, there's two other parts of having a code of conduct. You develop it, so the president can design it or somebody can design it. We have a standard one that we review and then we add or delete parts of it. So we, it's not you all invent it somebody starts out with a template of something and then you discuss it. But when people agree to it at that planning meeting, then they are helping ensure the health and safety of the meeting. It's not on the president alone. And I'll tell you an example. So my president, who just is a love, did the most wonderful, wonderful planning retreat. And we just all engaged. We did so much. We learned so much. It was great. And at the end, I called her and said, oh, Laura, that was just a fantastic meeting. You did so, so good. And she said, oh, I was just so upset. I'm like, what? I didn't see her being upset at all. So she held it together. Her buttons were pushed, but none of it. I mean, I know her really well. And she said, so-and-so, I won't say her name, just rolled her eyes and then got really cranky and did all this body language. And that person happened to be sitting next to me. So I, of course, didn't see that, right? And I'm like, oh, wow. And I said, I didn't see that. Do you want me to talk to her? And she goes, yeah, let's find out what I did wrong. So I called her and I know this woman really well. And I said, okay, so-and-so, and I just very directly said right away, didn't let a moment pass, right? Because I wasn't cranky about it. I was just curious. I said, hey, how did the meeting go for you today? Oh, it was wonderful. Loved it. Were you upset with Laura? No, why would you say that? And she said, I don't know. She said, you were rolling your eyes and kind of giving a negative face. She goes, oh yeah, I'm terrible at that. I just have such a bad attention span. And then I roll my eyes and I said, just stop it. So we didn't let it go far. I immediately addressed it. I did it in I care about the club and I care about both of the women. And she hasn't done it again, by the way. And you're right, if you have a code of conduct, it's good to bring it out in January or February again, just to remind people. But the other thing is, any new members come in, you got to spend time with them and say, this is how we're working to engage. We're not going to be perfect at it, but this is what we're doing. So anyway, well, we've got to the end and I didn't give you times for questions. Is this what you wanted to have? Is that okay? I have 3 rules that are my rules of life that I want to send you away with. And it's about leadership and it's about life. And you will be successful if you do these 3 things. And I learned it actually from the movie Pursuit of Happiness. Okay, show up. You have to be there. Okay. Hang in. So if somebody's a little snarky, hang in. Or if it gets tough, hang in. And third, be nice. Okay. So that's my 3 rules. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And I really had great fun. I hope this is what you wanted.
Thank you, Dawn Marie.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks
Thank you guys
especially
very, very much.
Sarah, Jody, and Erin for joining us and putting yourselves out there and taking a risk with us. We absolutely appreciate it and learn from you. So
Great job, Dawn Marie.
Thank you for letting all of us learn from all of you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Super
you.
good.
Thanks to you, Judy, for all your hard work putting this program
Yeah.
together.
you are welcome.
Yes.
It's been wonderful. So thank you. I know it wasn't easy, but we
Yeah,
appreciate it.
congrats. Congrats, Judy. You did it.
I know. I can't believe we're done.
Big round of applause, but I don't know how to take my video off. So I'm applauding and snapping from here.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Why can't I stop it? It's not working.